Good evening. This is Sharon Kleck with Mind of Messiah Ministries in Farmington, Missouri. This is what I believe a prophetic and apocalyptic dream. This is not my dream. This is my husband's dream. His name is Ben, and I tried to get him to come on the camera and to share this with you himself, but he just didn't feel good about doing that. In a previous video, I shared briefly that I'd had a vision in 2018. And what I saw were the outline of the United States of America. On both sides of the United States were these monstrous big mouths coming in from East Coast and West Coast and trying to devour. And they were trying to move in, move in, move in. And in the midst of that were all these points of lights all over. And we had been meeting for intercessory prayer at that time. And the Lord was talking to us about having an impact, and that what we were doing was not any small thing. It was a big deal. That no matter how many people are there, that if we are in agreement and we are praying the will of God, that we were being powerful and we were having an effect on the darkness, on the kingdom of darkness. And so I'm telling you that because that has something to do with Ben's dream that he had. So now I'm going to share with you what he said, what he had. This was from Friday, August the 25th, 2023. It was about 3:20 p.m. and he had taken a nap. And when he woke up from the nap, he was just in a state of almost bewilderment from what he had seen. And we have built a tabernacle in the back of our house a year ago for the Feast of Tabernacles. And so this dream takes place in that tabernacle. So that should give you the setting on this. So now I'll read to you the things that Ben has seen. We were in the tabernacle. We were facing south, southeast. 3 to 5 people total, in addition to Sharon and myself. I was leading a prayer with my arms partially raised, and the sky became darkened. It started to rain just moderately, but no one left. Even though there's no roof on the tabernacle, there's only rafters. I was praying about the evil in the world and our protection from it, and I was thanking the Lord about that. All of a sudden, a bolt of lightning struck, and it struck a tree about 115 feet tall. It was directly in front of us. It was about 50 yards away from us. And the lightning just took it to the ground. The sound was just deafening, and I just automatically ducked. And then the Lord spoke, and he said to me, "Don't worry, child." So I began to pray again. I prayed for all the lights that Sharon had seen previously over the United States, that the Father was saying were strongholds, that they were like us, that they were doing their part and holding back the light. They'd been holding back the evil tide. And but nobody in the tabernacle had moved, even though these 2 trees fell. Northwest, about 40 yards away, a dead 80-foot tree was struck by lightning, dropping it between the barn and an even larger tree. Again, the sound was instant and painfully loud. I remembered not ducking because the Father just told me not to worry. No one had moved. No one that was with us in the tabernacle had moved. And I realized that the rain had become just a light drizzle now. And God said to me, "My bubble protects you and the other lights from the center of the earth to the heavens above." Instantly, these golden bolts of light from the ground to the heavens appeared. They shot upwards, although I didn't turn around. I knew, because I knew the boats were making a complete circle skyward. There wasn't any sound whatsoever. And then I felt a concussion or a push from the wind. The bolts were so bright that all the other colors around there were they had just gone, they were gone completely. It was nothing but white. And I had no idea how long it'd last, but I felt like all this happened so quickly, quicker than I could even close my eyes due to the brightness. I saw it all. I felt this intense, overpowering feeling of love and peace, protection and safety. In that flash, I knew it was an example of what's to come. Just his presence. And then I saw Sharon's vision of the United States with the monstrous satanic clouds on the east and the west coast being held back by the points of light. And I watched as these golden bolts started shooting up around each light as God was protecting them. And God made me aware as my perspective once rose above the earth. He begins to rise up above the earth. And then he sees this overwhelming presence of death. He's got that in big caps, death. But I heard no sound except a faint and a distant hum. And at first the sound was undistinguishable. And then I noticed it happening. People were beginning to be taken down. First there were a few, and then larger numbers. They were all writhing and twisting and squirming, and their mouths were open in a frozen scream, but nothing was coming out. And then it just went on, and their agony just kept increasing, as did their numbers. They were on the street corners, in the malls. There were dead bodies piling up. There was no place to walk without stepping on a body. And I recognized faces. He even recognized some people that he knew personally. But then there were also politicians, big business name leaders, Bilderberg members, entertainers, etc. They weren't dying. Their pain was continuing, and it was increasing. I was shown that the very people wanting to call the population were in fact the ones that were being called. Their drawn-out torture was simply what they were doing to others. So from a high vantage point, I could see in other countries around the world many lights and golden bolts stretching to heaven, even higher than I was. And I saw a turmoil of turning black stuff. I could barely begin to make it out. And then all of a sudden I could see it. Millions and millions of vultures. And then he awoke. We felt like that this dream was supposed to be shared. To me, it proclaims the protection of Yahweh for his people, for his called out ones. And it also shows me the future torture and agony of those that don't turn to the Lord. And it makes me even more determined to want to pray for their salvation. We would really appreciate it if you would share this with others, and that you would comment, and that we would have your input into what you think that this dream might mean. This is the first time Ben's ever felt like he wanted to share something. He has dreams and visions. He sees things all the time. But this one wouldn't leave him alone. So thank you for taking the time to listen, and we look forward to hearing from you. Yahweh bless you.